A great fighter, what was undefeated. I got straight back up. It was nice to feel a great shot, but I didn't even see it. So.
Kelly's had 50 pro fights, and he's been in too many wars for the taste of most of his supporters. They want to see Kevin box.
So far, Ahmed has beaten Kelly to the punch with both hands.
The good thing about Kelly, if the fight is on no matter what, if it goes in the 6th round, he still believes that I can get a knockout from him. He's willing to waste a few rounds.
First 2 minutes of the fight, Ahmed is a puzzle that Kelly is unable to solve. But down goes the Brit on Kelly's first serious landed punch. A looping right hand put Ahmed down. Second time in his career he's been down in the first round. Puerto Rican Daniel Alisea was able to do it too. Also in the first round, but then Ahmed came back to knock him out in the second.
We all were wondering what was going to happen when he caught a punch from Kelly. We saw it.
Yeah, Kelly believes in his power, so you'll never discourage him, even if his eyes are swollen, if he's cut.
Kelly just missed with a hard left hand. Ahmed switches into a conventional stance. Kevin for was in a conventional stance himself. Now he goes back to his regular southpaw. Ahmed switching from side to side as he faces the man who has floored him in the first round.
Commit a cardinal sin in boxing, leaning back after throwing a flurry. Kelly was there and caught him. Can't do that with a top fighter. A little bit of hubris there, a little bit of overconfidence, thinking that it couldn't happen to him. It did. Go, go, go.
CompuBox numbers show Kevin Kelly landed only 10 punches in the first round, but it only took one to do the damage which won him the round.
I think it was a wonderful feat by Naseem to be able to get knocked down and then have your opponent running from you at the end of the round. He got up and made Kelly run. We get a good powerful right jab by Kevin Kelly.
Strong jab. Backs Naseem up. Naseem in the ropes. First time he's been in the ring with a fighter of Kevin Kelly's class. The wonderful thing coming into tonight was he knew that anything could happen. And one of the things that could happen would be that the Prince was exposed as a fraud. His gloves touch the canvas. The count begins. The second knockdown for Kelly. So one knockdown in each round now for Kevin Kelly.
Yeah, I think the last knockdown was flipped.
Kelly was down. I thought that was a knockdown, that Kelly should have been scored for a knockdown.
Angie Esteves waved it off and ruled it a slip. So it does not count as a knockdown against Kelly. Ahmed's been down twice. The knockdown, the apparent knockdown of Kelly ruled a slip. Hard right hand inside by Kelly.
The Prince has not seen this kind of power before.
Well, but Ahmed is supposed to have power of his own with his quickness, and we haven't seen the evidence of that as yet.
I think the mistake he made, there we saw it right there.
There's the power. There's the power you were talking about. And Kelly is stunned.
And Ahmed nods to him. Now we're in a fight.
And Kelly gets out of his boxing stance and decides to go to war. Now he settles back.
The more Naseem decides to be orthodox, the more trouble he gets himself into. So it's at his advantage to stay wild. Drop your hand, make this guy wait for you.
Kelly lands a hard chopping left and another. Naseem seemingly beginning to weather Kevin's punches a little bit better.
You can see Naseem is trying to get the rhythm to Kelly, and he's not able to do that.
Dropping his hand, switching from side to side. Now he goes back into a boxing stance. 5 seconds. Round 2 is going to come to a close, having seen knockdowns for each fighter.
We don't see this very often in one round, a fighter getting knocked down twice. You saw that Kelly landed a left and then a right. The first one was a knockdown. The referee was a little late getting in as he got up again. But he did bounce up, give him that, and they're flush on the jaw. Kelly, like Junior Jones, his pal in the first fight, got a little cocky with his power, left himself open, and caught one from Hamed.
And that's what was ruled a slip right there, Larry.
It could have been ruled a knockdown. It wasn't. Turned out okay. On my scorecard, Hamed won that round because even though they split knockdowns, his knockdown was more convincing and he landed more punches in the rest of the round.
Naseem is getting hit with punches. He's causing himself to be off balance by throwing his head back and forward. But the knockdown that Kelly received was true knockdown, not off balance, pure power.
Well, Naseem breaks so many rules of textbook boxing, it's as though he not only hasn't read the book, he hasn't looked at the table of contents. Leans his head back, ducks from side to side, trying to get away from punches. Takes a hard left from Kelly there. And lands a hard right hand of his own.
That was power by Naseem.
Well, one time he's going to leap too often and he may leap right into a Kelly punch and that would be it. As Phil Borges said, if he leaps, he sleeps.
Kevin Kelly's got true power. He's real accurate with his straight left hand.
Oh, when you're fighting against a powerful, good boxer like Kevin who has good balance, you better watch your own balance. And bad balance contributed to that second Kelly knockdown of Hamed in round 2. Now Kevin's starting to try to establish the straight right jab.
That was a good jab by Kevin Kelly that did some damage.
Kelly lands a left cross. Hamed ducking, sliding along the ropes. Not throwing as many punches in this round. Hamed seeming to have gone into a little bit of a caution state here as the result of the damage that Kevin Kelly's been able to do.
Yeah, it's the jab by Kevin Kelly that's being most effective now. If he just maintained that right jab, he can make this an easy fight.
And as we pointed out, that's another thing Phil Borges said. He said, my man has the better jab and the longer reach. How's Hamed going to get past that? In other fights, he's had his ways. He hasn't been in with anybody as good as Kevin Kelly.
Hamed seems to see dropping his hands in there is not getting him any advantage. So dropping those hands with Kelly can call good night. You got to keep your hands up with a guy like Kelly.
Right now, Hamed seems less unorthodox than just confused on how to break through Kelly's guard.
They trade right hands. Kevin's was the harder of the two. Good left uppercut by Prince Naseem. Right hand lands again as well. Naseem starting to come out of his shell and get more aggressive again.
You want to say to Naseem, stop pulling back with your head, but then you lose the total fighter.
You wanted to say that to Muhammad Ali, too.
Yeah, but you lose the total fighter because they do what they do, makes them so good.
If you don't use your jab, and if you don't move your head, we're going to run into difficulties, and I don't want that. What we worked on to get this guy out of here was our tempo, correct? When you're hunting a peanut, think what you did to Craig. Think what you did to Flat Top. Think what you did to Juna. Think all these things, how you let them hands go. Why buying step out? You're dead him. You got me? Just don't get in a war with him. Pick him off. You will gradually break him up off your job. Just bing. And then come back to it. Come in. So break him up on it. He's had his fun now. He's had his fun. You start giving it to him.
So now it's Brendan Ingle, Prince Naseem's trainer ever since he saw him on a schoolyard when he was 7 years old, asking his fighter not to get into a war. He wants him to pick Kelly off with his jab.
That's not an easy thing to do. When you're fighting a boxer with a jab, you almost have to get into a war. Kelly's got a good right jab.
He sure does. Naseem lands a couple power punches. Kevin Kelly lands a hard left hand. Kelly misses with the right and misses wildly with the right. But Naseem not in a position to counter either time. Hard left hand up top by Prince Naseem Hamed.
Watch the head. Let's go. Watch that elbow.
Kevin Kelly is getting the best of the counter puncher. You would expect the opposite.
They trade in short bursts and flurries. Naseem landing more accurately in this round than has been the case before, but taking some leather in return. Down goes Kelly on two hard left hands. Now they're even. Both fighters down twice in the fight. Ooh, blistering right hand by Hamed. Kelly a little slow to respond here.
You got to be careful mixing up with Kelly because he can fight.
That's going to be ruled a knockdown as Naseem's glove grazed the canvas. So there's the count for that. Third knockdown of Hamed by Kelly, and the Naseem advocates in the crowd boo that. Hard left hand by Kelly, and a right hand shot. Leaping right hand by the Prince, and a hard left, and Kelly's down for the third time.
He's got a half a minute, and he is definitely hurt. And the fight is over.
He's for real. The Prince is for real.
Punching power, George.
It's almost like De La Hoya. You don't know where they get the power from.
What we just saw was the Hagler Hearns of featherweight fighting. We have never seen a fight like this in the featherweight division on this level.
Unquestionably the most memorable fight of 1997, and Kevin Kelly doesn't want it to end.
What were there in this fight? 6 knockdowns.
Let me give it to me. Let me give it to me. Ever lost. And you're going to do it again, right? And you're going to do it again. Yeah. You're going to do it again. We're going to do this again. Let's go. Give me water. Give me water. Sit down.
You heard Hamed say to Kelly, "You're the best I ever boxed, and I'm the best you ever boxed."
I'm telling you, they like each other. It is abundantly clear from the body language, and you heard Phil Borgia, Kevin Kelly's trainer, trying to get Hamed to commit to a rematch right there on the spot. And George, who wouldn't want to see it again?
Oh, I would love to see it again. I want to see that entry again.
Everything he said he was, and more. Prince Naseem Hamed.
The difference